Remember when we talked about the most basic order of sentences in the language? First the subject, and then the predicate. You can make things even more clear if you break that down further. So now we'll talk about the basic order of the sentence being subject, verb, object. Those objects are called complements. I know that sounds funny, but it's pretty easy to remember. These are words that complement or complete the meaning of the verb. There are two types of complements in the English language: direct objects and indirect objects. They are super easy to spot because their position is very regular. Let's talk first about direct objects. They always follow transitive action verbs and answer the questions what or whom. Let's look at an example. The scout watched the young pitcher intently. Here, scout is the subject of your sentence. What did he do? He watched. That's the verb, which you know also means the simple predicate. We know it's an action verb because we can picture it happening. Generally, with a word like watched, another word is expected to complete its meaning. So we ask, using our direct object questions, watched what or watched whom? The answer to that question is your direct object, pitcher. If we broke this sentence down to its very basic elements, subject, verb, object, we'd have scout, watched, pitcher. While that doesn't sound great, it gets the meaning across. Let's look at a couple of examples. Homer invited Apu to Thanksgiving dinner. The subject is Homer. The transitive verb is invited. Let's use those questions again. Homer invited whom? Apu. Clearly, Apu is the direct object of this sentence. The lions in the pride stalked the unsuspecting hyena. Lions stalked what? They stalked the hyena. That's your direct object. Don't be distracted by words that modify the object. Here, the word unsuspecting is an adjective which describes the hyena. It's only the noun or the pronoun itself that can be the direct object. Here's one more example. The thoroughbred horses thundered around the track. Horses thundered what? There's no good answer to that question. While track is a noun, it doesn't complete the meaning of the verb thundered. So what's the deal? Remember that a direct object only occurs in a sentence with a transitive verb. What we have here is an intransitive verb. The word thundered is complete by itself. Be careful of these types of sentences. In our language, intransitive verbs are often followed by prepositional phrases, which can sometimes be tricky. Now let's talk about indirect objects. These guys are even easier to spot than direct objects. If they are in a sentence at all, they can only appear after a transitive verb and before a direct object. They answer the questions to whom, for whom, and to what. Let's look at some examples. The dictator gave his family many gifts. Let's go back to those direct object questions. Dictator gave what? He gave gifts. That's your direct object. It might be tempting to ask, dictator gave who? Because there seems to be an answer to that question. Family. But if we really think about it, one can't give human beings. The object given is clearly gifts. They were given to the family. Since that word family appears after the transitive action verb, but before the direct object, it could be an indirect object. Let's put it to the test. Dictator gave gifts to whom? Family. And because family is positioned where it is, we have ourselves an indirect object. Now take a look at this nearly identical sentence. The dictator gave many gifts to his family. There is no difference in meaning between these two sentences, but this one does not contain an indirect object. Can you figure out why? I'll give you a hint. Look at the position of the word family. Is it where it needs to be in order to be considered an indirect object? No, it isn't. In fact, it's part of a prepositional phrase and therefore can't be an indirect object.